All right, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. So today I want to talk about the debate regarding who would win in a fight, an MMA fighter or a bodybuilder. I think this whole debate has a ton of nuance that's lacking from both sides, and I want to shed some light on some things. So who am I to talk about this? My name's Ed. I have a black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu, not to be confused with Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which I do have 2 years of grappling experience doing that. I have a red belt in Taekwondo, which if you only are familiar with the Japanese belting systems, it's basically the Korean equivalent to a brown belt. And I haven't been training in about 4 or 5 years since my kids were born, but I still do have experience, and I've always been kind of like the bigger guy in the dojo. I was 230 when I got my black belt. I'm not going to say it was all muscle because it was not, but I've always been a little fluffier. I'm usually one of the stronger people in the dojo, so I can kind of like give you guys a more of a experienced perspective on this, because a lot of people are just kind of talking, and it's never any nuance on the internet. But anyway, so let's talk about weights. People's weight. Okay, there's weight classes in martial arts for a reason. Weight does give you an advantage, especially if we're talking about a street fight. If we're talking about something like point or touch sparring, obviously weight doesn't help that much because it's all about being nimble and then not actually making heavy contact, so you're not able to use that weight. But if we're talking about a street fight, let's say with no weapons involved, yes, being larger will help you, more muscles will help you, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. It depends on so many factors. What's the weight difference between these people? Are we talking about a 135-pound Taekwondo black belt versus The Rock? Because I'm putting my money on The Rock. Are we talking about two people that are only like maybe 25 pounds difference? Because then I'm putting my money on the martial artist, depending on what arts they know. Because the thing that a lot of people don't talk about is most martial arts have a blind spot. And I don't know why more people don't talk about this. There's a reason people do mixed martial arts, is because they kind of cover each other's blind spots. So let me give you an example. Taekwondo. It is an art that I'd say is about 85% kicking. There are a few major blind spots with Taekwondo. Number one, you don't know anything on the ground. So if you get taken down as a Taekwondo black belt, you're just a normal guy now. So if I got someone who's 135 pounds fighting The Rock in an alley where it's hard to keep distance to get kicks, yeah, The Rock, once he gets a hold of you, like if someone does this to you in Taekwondo, there isn't a lot of defenses to that, right? You're too close to get a kick in, and you don't really have any sort of escapes or anything like that. So Taekwondo has a massive blind spot when it comes to clinch situations and ground situations. Even popular arts like Muay Thai, right? Muay Thai is great. You do learn about clinches and stuff like that. But if you get taken to the ground as a Muay Thai guy, you can try elbowing and kneeing them, but that's pretty much it, right? That's why a lot of Muay Thai guys learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because it kind of like covers that weakness. So it's going to depend on what arts this person knows and how proficient they are in it. And again, it's also going to depend on the weight difference. People don't realize the difference between a 135-pound guy versus a 270-pound man full of muscle and on steroids, obviously. That's like the difference between an adult and a child. Now, obviously, that 135-pound person might be able to do some damage. Doesn't matter how much muscle you get, your nose is still going to break when you get punched hard enough. There are various like nuances to this, but in general, when it comes to massive weight differences like that, the weight is going to tip the scales in that person's favor, despite the amount of skill that other person has. If you're really good at, so Japanese jiu-jitsu, if you don't know, is there's a lot of throws, a lot of like it's a lot of self-defense. Most of what I know is illegal in like MMA tournaments. Like I can't be punching people in the throat and like punching them in the junk and stuff like that in the octagon, right? But if you have someone like that knows how to take out like various vital points from a person, yeah, they might very well be able to do something like that. But to say that being a bodybuilder is completely useless in a fight, it just isn't true. These are things that complement each other. If steroids were allowed in the UFC, everyone would be on them because they enhance your performance. Having more muscle gives you more of a shield, even if you're fat. Like even a 400-pound fat guy, as long as he's mobile, right? When I was 330, I was pretty mobile. As long as they're mobile, that will help them. That will protect them in certain ways. A kidney kick isn't going to hurt as much when you got a layer of fat protecting it. Yeah, you don't want to get hit by that stuff. And yeah, the martial artist can still break your bones, but being large does help. So who wins, an MMA fighter or a bodybuilder? Honestly, it depends. It's like this whole discussion is so stupid. Like it depends. If you have two guys that are the same weight, I'm probably going to put my money on the MMA fighter. If you have a massive weight difference, then yeah, the bodybuilder might just win. It just depends on the situation. And then it depends what arts these people know. Is there enough space for them to get out their strikes? Is there enough space for them to take the other person down? Because some fights happen like in a bus, right? You're not always fighting in an open plain field where you can just like execute whatever you want. It depends on the situation. And martial arts is not something that lets you beat up 50 guys by yourself like Jackie Chan in that one movie. Like it doesn't work like that. There's so much nuance that goes into it. There's so many things that can happen in a fight. And there are people that are trained in martial arts that when it comes to a real life fighting situation, they freeze, right? It's very different when someone's coming at you with intent to actually do harm versus someone coming at you with intent to win a fight. You know, at the end of the day, if you tap or if you give up, the fight's over. Whereas if you're in a street fighting situation, there are things pumping through your body that wouldn't be if you were just in a regular, competition setting. So this video was never meant to give an exact who wins. It's more so to tell you guys, like, look, there's so many things that can happen in a fight. And just because someone knows martial arts doesn't mean they're automatically going to win that fight. And just because someone's a bodybuilder doesn't mean they're going to lose that fight. Both of these things are good. In best case scenario, you want to have some muscle. It's going to help your fighting abilities, especially if you're a grappler or if you're someone who likes close combat, right? You want to be nimble and small when you're like into karate and into taekwondo and stuff like that. But in a street fight, a lot of fights end up in close quarter situations, and that's when strength can be utilized quite a bit. So yeah, nobody wins. Stop debating this stupidity and start having some nuance.